correctly. Maybe I'll stop doing my horrible Russian accent. Alrighty. Looks like chats are being synced up. Streams are beginning. Hopefully things are rolling. I'm gonna check everything and then we'll jump into the very first ToSalem live show. Not the very first ToSalem live event, but first ToSalem live show. See, I can hear myself on my phone. That must mean that it's working. All right, here we go. What's up? I'm Joel. I am leader of this little band of merry adventurers at ToSalem. All right, I think we're going. Welcome to the show here. If I've done everything correctly, this is my first time. Let me start off just by saying this is my first time. I probably screwed something up. But as you can see here, we got a chat on screen. Ann Colette is saying, hi, Joel. What's up, Ann? How's it going? Thanks for tuning in. Nice to see you through chat. We got a fun show today, all right? To start this thing out right. It's a self-care Friday for yours truly. Took the day off work mostly. Coming to hang out with you guys. Just left the infrared sauna. First time I've ever done that. Highly recommend it. Let's start this thing out right with a little glass of Dogagiolo Toscano, some kind of wino. There it is right there. Gonna be drinking that. Interestingly enough, it's quite sunny and pretty in New England today. It's in the 60s, and I'm planning on going for a run after this. But I'm going to have a glass of wine before the run. So what fun adventures are coming my way for that run? We'll find out. Welcome to the show, everybody. Here's to you, to all the weirdos, to the psychopaths, to the strange ones who have decided to join me on this journey and all journeys. Cheers to you. Cheers to Salem. Smoke 'em if you got 'em. Let's get weird. On today's show, we're going to start out with a little bit of a new subscriber shout out. Past week has been super fun for ToSalem, and I'll be talking about that more momentarily. But let's start out with some new subscribers. Brrr, drum roll, drum roll, drum roll. Okie dokie, new subscribers. We got Claudia Fusco. Let's see what Claudia's up to. This is Claudia's channel. Wow, Claudia, your art is just straight fire. Claudia looks like she's doing some interesting, maybe pop culture stuff, maybe booky stuff. What's she got there? Magical stuff. I know that book. We got some Harry Potter. Check out Miss Claudia Fusco. Next up, we got Lookits LW. Thank you for subscribing, Lookits LW. We got Jessie, Miss Jessie Huntenberg. You're going to be hearing more about Miss Jessie as the weeks unfold here on ToSalem. I won't give you any spoilers, but she's a pretty big YouTuber in the witchcraft space. So chances are you may have heard of her if you are into that space. And like I said, you'll be learning more about Jessie. Here we go. This looks better, doesn't it? There we go. I'm getting this figured out on the fly, people. There's Jessie. Check her out. She's got a really cool video I watched recently. This one here. It's called I'm a Mind Witch, or What Type of Witch Are You? I'm a Mind Witch. That's a good one to check out. It's actually the video that I discovered her on and reached out to her. Spoiler alert. All right, so there's Jessie. She's a recent subscriber. Who else we got here? We got Eddie. Eddie, thanks for subscribing. Joseph, Mr. Daniel Martin. Mr. Daniel Martin and me are becoming fast friends as well. This is Daniel. He subscribed, I think last week, and he commented on the ritual magic video I posted last week. And I reached out to him, and now we're talking. Daniel's got a really cool Discord. Does he have it on here? Let's see. Here's his Patreon. I hope he has his Discord on here. I'm not seeing it. look into him. Reach out to him. He's doing this cool thing where he's, oh, here you go. Here's some art from it. He's doing this cool thing where he's creating a tarot deck with like communal involvement. And I popped into that. If you know anything about tarot, or you want to talk about tarot, spitball ideas. He's doing some incredible art, and they are talking about it on his Discord server. So if you are wanting to get involved in creating a tarot deck, I mean, look at this. This is obviously the world card we're looking at. And if you don't know tarot, this is the Rider-Waite typical version of the world card that you're going to see in your standard Salem deck, or your Salem standard tarot decks. And this is what they are coming up with in that community. Gorgeous, gorgeous work. Highly recommend. He's also, like me, super interested in pathways forward using esoteric and different pagan thoughts. We got Gardner NA. Thanks for the sub. Cat Mama. We share a lot of interests, I bet. Cat Mama. Ay caramba. You people and your YouTube names. I love it. Brenda Luyten. Thanks for the sub. All right, that's our last little batch of subscribers. A little subscriber shout out to start this show out right. Welcome everybody. Hopefully you got something that's inebriating you, like I've got something that's inebriating me. On today's show, we're going to be talking about a little bit of what's going on in the ToSalem world, a little bit what's going on in the world of the esoteric and witchcraft generally, some cultural stuff. We'll be sharing some thoughts. We're going to stick around here till about 2:30, 2:45, about an hour 15 show. So please do settle in for all that. You can see the chat is live here on screen. We got people chit-chatting. Feel free to jump into that. It should pop up no matter where you're watching this show on. If you're watching on Twitch or YouTube or Facebook, you should be able to chat, and it should just pop up on the screen there. So I encourage you to do that. As you can see on the screen, we also have a Patreon link. I don't have my Patreon really set up. But if you see a Patreon link, I'm going to be doing a personal Patreon. I thought I was going to do a ToSalem Patreon, but recent events have changed my mind. I'll talk about that more in a bit too. You can click that Patreon link and head on over, and I think there's like one tier there that has no information in it. But if you're of a mind to give money to a complete stranger, then by all means, I'm not going to stop you. Jump on over and check that out. This segment of the show is called What You Reading. Let's do What You Reading. I'm dying to show you guys what I'm reading because it just came this week. Oh, I can barely lift it. It is known as the Brick in esoteric circles, and it's this behemoth right here. Look how thick that mamma jamma is. Whoa, oh, getting all perspiry, just flipping through. Look at look at that. You guys knew this is gonna be a weird show. It's always gonna be weird. Sorry if you don't like it. Look at these illustrations. We got a little bit of Aladdin's lamp action going on over there. This is the I mean, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Has there been a more influential magical group in the history of Western esotericism than the Golden Dawn? This is the bedrock, this book right here, of pretty much all New Age stuff, pretty much all any witchcraft that's contemporary in the Western world. A lot of it probably came from this book. I don't think it's an overstatement to say it's the most influential group in the history of Western esotericism, certainly in contemporary esotericism. All kinds of cool rituals, all kinds of stuff going on. As you can see, I use my flap here to bookmark. I'm only on page 7, but I've gotten through like 7 forwards. There's a lot of forwards in this book. So this is what I'm reading. I'm not going to be reading this thing cover to cover, I'm sure. It seems like it's more of a kind of go at your own pace, return to over time kind of book. So that's how I'm planning on reading it. But as I talked about in the Ritual Magic video, which came out last Friday, I am practicing a lot of this stuff. Currently, I am doing a invocation in the morning and a banishing ritual at night, which is what they recommend in the early chapters of this text. I can't even begin to explain how deeply it is impacting me. I started to talk about it a little bit in the ritual magic video, but I'm really only skimming the surface there. And I won't go too deeply into it here, because part of what I took away from the ritual magic video is like, ToSalem is, it's touristy. It's about Salem. It's fun. It's historical. It's witchy, but it's witchy like culturally, and it's witchy historically. And it feels a little weird to be diving into like personal experiences with the esoteric in that space. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'd be curious to see what people think. I think I'm gonna talk about that stuff on my own platforms and set up my own kind of Patreon system where if you're into anything I'm doing, ToSalem, my production company, the audio dramas, which there's updates on that too. I don't know. I mean, all the crap I do. There's another esoteric site I'm like in the early stages of called Manifest Esoterica. There's nothing there right now, but that's going to be like a community space for people to share work. I think I'm just going to set one up that's like, if you want to support everything, go check it out. And there on my own personal platforms is where I'm going to get super weird. Super weird. So check that out for the weirdness. So a little bit of updates on what's going on in ToSalem. And then we'll jump into the fun segment, which is looking at some news from around the web, some articles, having some conversations. A little bit of what's going on with ToSalem. First off, the audio drama is deeply in progress, which means that I'm writing a lot and talking to people a lot. Currently on the team, we got the casting director from Salem's Ghosts. If you don't understand what this stuff is, go look through the videos on the channel, on the YouTube channel. Salem's Ghosts was a feature-length audio drama. It's set during Salem witch trials that we released the week before Halloween, and it went so well and it was so much fun that we've decided to do another one with pretty much the same core team that was in the first. And this new one is not set in the Salem witch trials. I was hesitating to talk about that because I wasn't sure, but now I'm sure. It's not set during the Salem witch trials. I'm a little worried this candle is going to catch my bookshelf on fire. How far away does a flame need to be from wood before it's no longer dangerous? Is my question. I guess we'll find out. This is not set during the Salem witch trials. It's a much more contemporary story. It's darker than Salem's Ghost was. It's less historic. It's true crimey. The same core team is back for round 2 with one big addition in the form of an assistant director. Who's going to be handling a lot of more, schedule-y kind of things and getting press releases and whatnot. Coolly about this one is I think the premiere is actually going to be a much bigger deal. I think last time we did a premiere and it was live and that was really rad and everybody had a great time with it. This time, I think we're going to do like, the premiere is going to be like the thing where we're going to like limit how many people can come. And there's going to be a bunch of cool stuff going on, like a 20-minute pre-roll, like live chat rooms where you can go talk directly with the actors. I kind of got an idea to like mail people stuff. Like if you sign up to come to the premiere, you get mailed stuff before the premiere that's going to like heighten your experience during the show. All kinds of crazy ideas happening right now. But the biggest thing is I got to write it. I got to finish writing it so that we can cast it. We're looking at a mid-January release. Obviously, all this could change. Look how much I look like the devil with my horns there. That's entirely unintentional, but Satan, worship me. Yeah, so that's updates from ToSalem. Also working on your normal videos. Got a few podcast episodes coming out. Recorded one this past week that's going to be coming out in like 3 weeks. And boy, is it a doozy. Man, it is... Woof. It is, I am the devil. Ron Martin, everybody. What's up, Ron? Check out Ron's episode on the ToSalem podcast, Salem Witch podcast. Fantastic, dude. Yeah, so that's what's going on with ToSalem. Bunch of cool stuff coming up. A lot of media stuff, a lot of videos, a lot of podcasts, audio dramas. Been listening to a lot of audio dramas. Man, I had no idea just how rich the world of audio dramas is until I started making them. Man, audio dramas are cool, and the people who make them are cool. And you should go get on your Spotify's right now, everybody, and just start listening to audio dramas if you haven't. I literally was a pool of tears on the floor like 2 days ago because I was listening to an audio drama about death, and it was just like insanely gorgeous. So yeah, mostly focused on the audio drama. I think December is going to be a little bit slow because it's the holidays. So before the audio drama, there's not any big projects on the horizon other than podcasts. And I was going to do another Salem Witch Trials video, but I think I'm going to hold off a little bit on that. So yeah, the next big thing you can expect is the audio drama series. That's another thing. It's probably a series this go around, not a feature like the last one. And before then, a bunch of cool podcasts with some really cool people coming out like every 2 weeks. All right, ladies and gents, let's jump on to the next segment here. I have segments. That's how cool I am. I have segments. If you want to submit any questions or chit-chat about anything, type it in your doobly-doo, wherever you're watching this show, and I'll see it. And then I'll refuse to answer your questions. If you got anything you want to submit, we're about to go around the web here and look at some stuff that's new out on the internets and the spaces we care about. Feel free to submit links to YouTube videos, articles, whatever it is you're into that you think the ToSalem art audience, such as it is, might also be into, and we'll have a look at it. Let's jump in now to a little bit of from around the internet. What's going on? What's going on in the world of Salem, in the world of witchcraft, in the world of the esoteric? A little bit of downer news from Salem is that we're now, about a month, about 3 weeks out from Halloween, post-Halloween. The numbers of people who contracted the virus, I can't actually say the name of the virus. I've learned YouTube doesn't like when you say it. So stupid. It did spike because of Halloween. Well, I can't say it's because of Halloween, but it did spike in Salem after Halloween. But it's kind of spiking everywhere. So I'm not sure if anybody's done work to see yet if it was spiking in Salem directly because of Halloween. I'd be curious to see that. But it definitely spiked. I looked yesterday, and you can see. I mean, I can draw some conclusions. You can see about eight days out or so. 8 days out or so. The unpleasantness. That's nice. Because of the unpleasantness, I'm binge watching The Crown right now, and I'm catching up. And the unpleasantness is the most like royal English thing to call a pandemic ever. Father, the unpleasantness has ruined Hallows Eve. It looks like what we thought was going to happen probably did. Case numbers spiked a bit. What's up, Carol from Queens? Howdy, howdy, howdy. Love me some Queens. That's what's going on in Salem. Let's move on to a little bit of what's going on with news around the web that it has to do with witchcraft. The big one by far has to do with this right here. Yikes. Alrighty. The Witches, Rolled Dolls, The Witches, released. I haven't seen it. I have not seen this movie. If you've seen it, let me know. But yikes. 49% and then a 34% audience score. Although, if I'm honest, I can't imagine how it could have gone any other way. I watched the trailer and I immediately was like, nah, I don't think so. I mean, the Tooch is in it. The Tooch. I would love to tooch my own horn and watch the Tooch and the Witches. Is that a thing? Do people say that? I don't know. I don't care. Okay. It's not hard to watch Robert Zemeckis and his cast dig back into this story without rooting for a redo that's significantly more special. Yikes. The big story out of this movie, in addition to people just not much caring about it, is this. The portrayal of limb difference. I don't know what this is. I've not seen it. But a lot of people in the disability community are angry with some portrayal of some character. Enlighten us if you've seen this movie in the chat. What are we talking about here? They remove their glove. We don't see appendages that resemble any clawed animal or demonic creature. We see hands that look regrettably like the hands of someone with a word I cannot pronounce. Ectrodactyly. Ectrodactyly. I'm butchering it, but that, a condition that results in missing central digits and or the appearance of split formation. I want to see this. Let's see if we can see this, right? Let's, we're going to do it live. We're doing it live. Okay, we're going to go to images, and let's just do like the witch's claws. Okay. So this is what we're talking about. Right there. Anne Hathaway's. Okay. So this is the hands. And then let's look at that. What does that look like? Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Yes, yes, yes. It does, doesn't it? Wow. Yeesh. Everybody's talking about this. This is like the only thing anybody's talking about with this movie, which is a shame, because this is based on The Witches is for me and for most of the people I'm friends with, was an immensely influential film. That they didn't do this in the original. I don't remember them having weird hands in the original. Hands. Yeah, they were more like these demonic-y. Yeah, and their hands were normal. And I don't think they do this in the book, do they? We're looking. We're looking. We're on the case here on ToSalem. Nope. Those are just like long, spindly witch hands. What an odd choice. So people are angry. This is all people are talking about with the witches, is that people are angry about this representation of differently abled people who have this condition that I can't pronounce. Ectrodactyly. No one's really talking about how good the movie is because it seems like people don't really think it's that good. If you've seen it, let me know. The Craft also came out, Craft Remake. I've not seen that either, but I've talked to people who have, and it seems like if you liked the original, you're probably going to like the remake. Wildly different from what I understand, but kind of appealing to the same people. Today's teenage witch, which is different than my generation's teenage witch. All we cared about was eyeliner and Spencer's gifts. I'm not sure what this generation cares about. TikTok and vaping. Pissing off large chunks of my audience here. Why not? So that's a big story going on right now. The Witches, people not happy about it. People not happy about this film. Big problem, apparently. I don't want them to remake any witch films ever again. I can't think of a single witch film that I want remade. Not one. And every single time they do it, I don't like it. The Blair Witch Project, don't like it. I saw the trailer for the new Bowie biopic. And I gotta say, I have been people, if you've watched the channel, you'll know I'm a big a big not a big Bowie fan. He's sacred to me. I don't like people messing with Bowie. But the trailer does not look bad. It doesn't look bad. Can we watch it together? We're not going to make any money off this. So let's just watch it. Let's just watch it. What is it? But I don't even know what it's called. What is it called? Oh, Stardust. That's right. Boom. Hopefully you can hear it. First off, can we just say the guy they got to play Senior Bowie, not who I would have picked, but I also don't hate it. Let's get just a shot of him. Right? He doesn't really look like Bowie. They got his teeth kind of right. I mean, I don't know. He does kind of got a young Bowie vibe. I wouldn't say he knows Mark Maron's in it, apparently. The thing is, it's hard because the era of Bowie they're going after is not really the era that we're familiar with. The biopic seems like it's the lead up to becoming Ziggy. So it's tricky because here he is as Ziggy. It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm going to say. I love the blue and pink in the title. Clearly. I'm a big fan of blue and pink. Can we hear this? Can you hear this? I bet you can. Somebody in chat, let me know if you can hear this.
Name?
David Bowie.
Doesn't sound like him at all, though.
12 singles, every one a total failure, except Space Oddity. The record company finds the album too weird for the Yanks.
See, I don't... Good. Awesome. I don't... I'm so torn already. I already have opinions. Okay, let's just go.
I need them to know me.
There's only one guy at Mercury.
Did they get his eyes right? Did they even try? They kind of did. Yeah.
Know me.
There's only one guy at Mercury who doesn't hate your new record with every bone.
I'm not hating on this actor. No one could play Bowie faithfully. I don't think that's what he's trying to do.
His body.
David Bowie, I presume. Ron Oberman, Mercury Records.
That I don't like. Can we have one music biopic without a manager or a record exec? Just one where that's not the tension.
We got a packed couple weeks coming up. Chicago, Philadelphia, New York, and then out to LA.
I think we can make it work. All it takes is one believer to change the world. And we got two.
Two?
You believe in yourself, don't you? I think you're going to be the biggest star in America.
God, here's the problem. Here's the problem I already have. No one cares about Bowie believing in himself. That is not what we want to see.
This is a Queen family rock station, so keep it safe.
Tell me about the new album. What's it all about?
It's about the years I spent dressing in women's clothes and getting laid.
You want to know why it's not working? And if anyone dares to ask you about your actual work, you just do the mystical mime act.
He's got a Bowie vibe. I'll give him that.
There is no authentic me.
There is no authentic me. That's what I want the movie about. Why wouldn't you make an entire movie about that concept, about a man struggling with his own identity? And that man is David Bowie. Way more interesting than will he become successful in spite of his weirdness? We already know the end to that movie.
Fear.
Well, then be someone else.
Be someone else?
Someone else.
Okay. David, it's not like there was way more going on than I want to be famous, so I'll become other people. Way more.
I don't want to go mad. I want to take my fantasies on stage with me.
God, I hope that is what they do. It's hard to tell in the trailer because they give you both. They give you like I want to take my fantasies on stage. I'm trying to become something different. I'm playing with my identity. That to me is fascinating, which is why I say I don't hate it. But if the movie is more this other thing where it's like Is he going to become successful in spite of how strange he is? I'm not interested in that in the least. And also, they're not doing like a Rocket Man. I loved Rocket Man. They're clearly not doing that. This is a straight biopic. Rocket Man was kind of like a musical adventure, like a mythologizing of Elton John, which is fascinating. You make a movie mythologizing David Bowie, I'm into it. You make it realistic, I don't know, man.
Act like a star and they'll think you're a star. Don't stop until you have them on the floor, groveling.
You're not a space alien. You're from Bromley, man.
Oh, yes, I am. Rock star or somebody impersonating a rock star? What's the difference?
He's good. I like this guy, but man, I've got some serious issues with this, with what this script might be. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. So that came out in October. I just saw it this past week. Oof. You could really swing and miss with this, and I can't really tell from the trailer if they're gonna. Can't really tell. Ron says the new Craft is a 4 out of 10. Thankfully, not a remake. Different witches, different generation. Good, I think. They got to stop with these witch remakes. They got to stop with all remakes. I'm so tired of remakes. Elsewhere on the web, we've got this piece here that I came across this week. That this is more of a deep dive. So here with about 15-20 minutes left in the stream, let's get into this. Let's get into it. Jung and the invasion of the collective mind. You tune into a stream for fun and enjoyment, and I give you Jung and the invasion of the collective mind. I'm really good at this. This is a fascinating dude. I just came across this guy, the guy who wrote this. Kingsley Dennis. He's got one of those people with a backwards name. He's got the last name first and the first name last. He's written some books. I've checked out his books, and this excerpt is from a book that he wrote called Healing the Wounded Mind. But you can see here he's written quite a bit. Dawn at the Akashic Age, co-wrote that, looks like. Bardo Times, Hyper Reality, High Velocity Simulation, Automation, Mutation, a hoax? What a title. Kingsley, you need somebody to help you pare it down, brother. The Most Wondrous Lighthouse of Strange Delights, that's a title. That's what I'm talking about. That looks like fiction. So it looks like he does both fiction and nonfiction. This excerpt here is from Healing the Mind book, I do believe, yeah. Healing the Wounded Mind, the Psychosis of Modern World, and the Search for the Self. I stumbled upon this. You guys know, if you watched the Ritual Magic video, I'm very into identity magic. And a big part of identity magic is Jung. You can't really get too far away from Jung. If you're thinking about playing with identity or if you're thinking about playing with magic as a technology through which to achieve some sort of identity enlightenment. So in this article, we're talking about a mental contagion that has entered the collective human mindset, into our collective consciousness. And he's talking about this in regards to the work of Carl Jung. Now, Carl Jung, this big book here is Carl Jung. If you're new to the work of Carl Jung, psychologist who he's sort of like he was super well regarded in his time, and we're still unpacking what he had to say about the nature of the unconscious mind, especially. And I'm deeply fascinated by Jung's unconscious work. He was kind of a response to Freud in many ways, and part of he certainly wasn't the first person to come up with the concept of the unconscious mind, but he did start to explore the unconscious as a separate place that we all sort of have access to. That's a radical simplification, but he saw the unconscious as something that we inherit more than that we like go to, almost like we're born with it. We're born with the access to it. We're born with a certain set of figures and symbols and personalities already in us. And culture grooms those things called archetypes. The world grooms those things, it solidifies those things. But crucially, we do enter the world with them kind of already pre-coded, a process that we don't fully understand now. Some people have different views on what the unconscious realm even is, what lurks there. There's definitely a magical worldview to be explored in all this, but Mr. Dennis here is writing about the unconscious realm. Excuse me. And he's saying that he believes that a mental pathogen has installed itself in whatever this shared realm is. I like this a lot when I read it. I read it earlier this week and I kept thinking about it all week long because there's a lot of hypotheticals going on here. But if you kind of take him at his word, Kingsley, then the idea that some thought virus has invaded a shared space is fascinating and also explains a lot. I think you can view this a few ways, like you can view almost everything Jung did a few ways. You can view a lot of Jung's work as metaphysical, but you don't have to. You can view it strictly materially as well, and it still makes sense as long as you're willing to accept the idea that the unconscious mind is weird and unexplored and we don't understand it, but it is there. This is interesting. Now we're getting into this idea of what he thinks this thought virus is. Physicist and thinker David Bohm, who was also aware of this mental infection we're talking about, considered in his later life how we might combat this problem. This is what I'm very interested in. It's similar to a virus. Somehow this is a disease of thought, of knowledge, of information, spreading all over the world. The more computers, radio, and television we have, the faster it spreads. Makes sense, right? The more interconnected the minds of the world, the faster a thought virus would spread. So the kind of thought that's going on all around us begins to take over in every one of us without us even noticing it. It's spreading like a virus, and each one of us is nourishing that virus. The only way to stop it is to recognize it, to acknowledge it, to see what it is. If any one of us starts to look at that, then we are looking at the source of the problem. The author here calls it the wounded mind, which is the mind that is infected with this virus, oftentimes not even knowing that it is. And then he offers the wounded healer, which is kind of a lead into his book, which I have not read, but I'm planning to read. Maybe that'll be next week's What Are You Reading book. It's no measure, yeah. I love that quote, but God, people use it way too much. No measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. Yeah, that's true, but not super helpful. We can recognize the presence of the wounded mind when it enters into our thinking as it seeks to strengthen logical component, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so now he's talking about how you can recognize it. Okay, so now he's talking about this archetype of the wounded healer coined by Jung. It refers to those people, generally psychologists, therapists, etc., who feel compelled to treat others because of having been wounded or experienced some form of trauma themselves. Personal trauma might serve as a catalytic process that can later help to facilitate healing within others. Since as a species we share a collective psyche, then we also share the collective wound of humanity. God, what a cool idea, man. I love that a lot. And these are the last few paragraphs, so I'll just read them out. Our very real struggles today are not just the distractions that are pushed onto us through our mainstream medias, the political farce, national rivalries, shallow ideologies, opinions, and fear-mongering. I would add into that technocratic autocracy, stuff like that. But more so between the inner freedom of the human spirit and the constraints of our mentally corrupted societies and cultures. Mentally corrupted societies and cultures. Let's come back to that. We need to ask ourselves the question that Don Juan posed to his student. Then ask yourself and yourself alone one question. Does this path have a heart? If it does, then the path is good. If it doesn't, it's of no use. I'm not sure that's the question. Let's get back to that. The most important things in the world are not to be found in any place external to us. Any society or culture that does not recognize and support the human as a spiritual being will ultimately be lacking in a viable long-term future. I hope that's true, Kingsley. I'm not sure I can say it as declaratively as you are saying it. I can point to a lot of societies that don't recognize and support the human being as a spiritual being and had long-term futures and still are having long-term futures. I don't know that I super agree with this idea that the answer is internal, because don't you need to be stimulated by the external? Don't you need to do some reading, some listening, some watching, some exploring? Don't you need to find things to change your own mind? Isn't that the way? I mean, ultimately, yeah, we're talking about changing the mind. And so the ultimate answer is going to be internal, but don't you need these external stimuli to help you get there? You know, I don't know if it's as simple as just shutting everything off. I've tried that. I deleted all my social media right after the 2016 election. Not really because of it, kind of because of it, but I've been struggling with it for years before that. I deleted all my social media. I backed out of society. I've been basically a social hermit for the past 3 years. And I got to tell you, turning it all off don't work. It don't work. Because eventually you got to come back. You got to come out of the cave. And what you find in the cave is that a lot of the social things that we're critical of turn out to be insanely necessary for growth. We don't want to think of it that way, because we want to think that we're deep individuals and we can, fill out our own weaknesses. But my experience, that's not true, or at least it's only partially true. You need others. You need people to point out your crap. You need people to push you. You need people to motivate you. You need other people's ideas, other worldviews. You need social interactions. When I deleted all my social media stuff in 2016, that's a unpleasantness, to steal a term from Ron Martin. That's a pre-unpleasantness world. I'm not sure anymore that having 10,000 people you don't really know is as wasted an endeavor as it was 4 years ago. Like, isn't it better to have all these semi-connections in a world where we're all increasingly isolated than it is to have no connections? Which is kind of an argument pro social media. Yeesh. Please don't burn down my house. It kind of is. And, I'm not so sure I agree with this idea that the answer is ultimately or exclusively internal. It might be ultimately internal, but I think you need people to help you get there. I think you need philosophies to help you get there. You need spiritual paths. You need things that are stimulating your curiosity, stimulating your advancement. I see the knowledge as Lisa. What's up, Lisa? I see the knowledge as the external and the wisdom as the internal. I think you need one to get to the other. Yeah, I totally agree. This is why I'm becoming more and more interested and actively pursuing a formalized spiritual structure. Because what I'm coming to realize is that I like to play around in flighty, heady spaces that are nebulous and watery. I'm a Cancer. I'm a Grand Water Trine. I'm deeply emotional. I'm deeply sensitive. I'm not super rational. I'm not super intellectual. I just don't move through the world that way. I feel my way through everything. Everything's instinct. Everything's, it's twisting around inside of me. And for that sort of person, you would think that something like chaos magic or sigil making or a very creative, emotional thing would be appealing. But what I'm coming to realize lately is, because I want to play around in such strange, nebulous conceptual space, having a deeply rooted magical tradition, something with long, deep chronological roots, something that stretches back in time, something that's deeply woven into, a lot of people have vetted it, and I don't have to think about it, is super appealing to me right now, because of exactly what you're saying, Lisa. Exactly that The knowledge being external, it helps to have a formalized structure. It really, really, for me right now, it really, really does, because then I can just go get the knowledge. And then all of the wisdom, the internal stuff, is not rooted in the practices themselves. It's rooted in what I'm getting from the practices, which is kind of a rebuttal of the entire postmodern magical worldview, I suppose. Or it's my response to it that I'm currently going through. So yeah, I think Kingsley is on the right path. I'm curious to read his book. I'm gonna probably try and get it over the next week or two, but I think that there's, what I'm not seeing here is you need a lot of community, you need a lot of talking to people, you need a lot of conversations, and not just with books. You feeling each other out is so important in magical working, I'm learning. To everyone who responded to the ritual magic video with just the most gorgeous, I guess we'll close out by, because the stream's almost done here, but let's just look at the comments from the ritual magic video. One is from Lisa. What's up, Lisa? These are all the public comments here. Understand inner conflict. I mean, look at that. I won't read them all out, but God, everybody just had such deep, beautiful responses talking about how they're navigating this stuff, how they're feeling about this stuff. God, I think that's so valuable for me personally, but then also for us as explorers in the esoteric, to be constantly like sharing with each other and moving each other forward is just, it's the thing I've been missing for years. It really is the thing I've been missing. I was suffering under this delusion that I could just read and I could just do my stuff on my own, and I could have a one-way dialogue where I'm just taking from authors, taking from YouTubers, taking from podcasters, letting it mull around inside myself, and then like come up with something that would be worthwhile. That ain't it. That did not work. I mean, it kind of worked, and that it stimulated my curiosity and it kept me exploring, but what's been going on the last week or so, where conversations are starting to happen, and I want them to keep on happening, that's something else. Inspiration from the outside, but then I use experience to create my own practices and spiritualism from that. Sounds like we are in a similar place. Cheers to you, Lisa. I think we are in a similar place. All right, everybody, that's the ToSalem live stream. Coming up on what we do, about 50 minutes, something like that. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning into this thing. This is the first time I'm doing this. I want to do this every Friday, though. Every Friday at 1:30 for somewhere between 45 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, something like that. Let's do it. Glass is empty. Show is over. The glass is empty, but the bottle ain't. Hey! This was fun. This was super fun, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Next up on the ToSalem YouTube, this next week, you should be looking for this guy right here. This is Travis McHenry, creator of the Occult Tarot. I'm just going to spotlight some of his work before we bounce out of here. Let's find a good one. So he's made the Occult Tarot. He's made a bunch of other stuff. You can go look into him. Since you guys are the ones checking, here's one everybody knows. Boom. Lucifer. This deck, I really like it. It's kind of modeled on the Rider-Waite Tarot deck, but I would say not really. I mean, kinda, but I am not. Maybe I just don't know enough about the tarot. Some are obvious, like Baphomet as the magician. Yeah, I get that. Totally get that. Focus. I have sat on Baphomet's lap. There's a little bit of Salem trivia for you. Answer in the comments. First one to answer, I'm going to send something to you. Where can you sit on Baphomet's lap in Salem, Massachusetts? Meow, 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 meow. R.I.P. Alex Trebek. Meow, 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 meow. Na, 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 na. God. So anyway, Travis McHenry coming on the show. We did the interview like 2 weeks ago. podcast is going to be releasing this week. Check that out. That's the next thing up. Good job, Ron. You better know, Ron. Jesus, if you don't know, you're in trouble, man. That's Ron, everybody. Ron Martin in the chat. Check out his podcast episode. Check out his book also, which is, look, it's still right behind me from when we talked. God, I'm so good at things. There's Ron's book. Boom. Ba-boom. Definitely check that out. Anybody got a trip planned to Salem now that the Halloween season is done? Anybody thinking about going? I kind of am. Oh, also on the channel, coming up in December, if you are a crafty sort, you will want to keep a look on the channel in December. We're doing some really cool, I guess the term is intentional crafting. I'm not very crafty at all. Think about last week of January. Text me if you do go, man. But we are going to be on the channel exploring some like crafty stuff that you can do in walkthroughs where I'm going to butcher making stuff. Someone's going to teach me how to make stuff and I'm going to butcher making it that involve like intentional crafty stuff, like putting kind of ritual work into very like tangible crafty stuff, which I'm super fascinated by. I think like if you keep going down that road, like we're kind of exploring it as like a fun kind of thing, but isn't that just spell work? I mean, isn't intentional crafting feels like sigil making to me? It feels like, I've always thought that I've never considered myself a practicing witch. I think I'm more like in the esotericist magician kind of camp. But I've always felt like if you are a witch, that making your own stuff has always seemed to me like the way to go. Like making your own candles, making your own talismans, making your own cords and jewelry and you know, going and physically getting stones from places to use in ritual work. That just seems to me like, not like stores, but like digging it up yourself. That's always seemed to me like the deepest way, the most pure way to access the accoutrement of your craft. So we're exploring a little bit of that in December. Keep a look on the channel for that. All right, everybody. The arts were claimed to be used as spells, and I love art spells. Cool. If you got any ideas, Lisa, send them in. Joel@ToSalem.com. Send them to me because we've got like 3-ish that we're pretty feeling good about. I think there's still room for 1 or 2 that we're kind of like playing around with some ideas. I won't tell what any of the ideas are yet. You'll have to tune in for that. But that's going to be cool. It's going to be like walkthrough style. You're going to see how bad I am at crafting, which is really, really bad. All right, everybody. That's it. Be sure to check back for the Travis McHenry podcast coming up next week. Support on the Patreon. Subscribe to all the things. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I will see you next week. Stay weird, witches.